Oh, the game's just starting. The night sky of the countryside is wide, empty, and often soundless. Crickets may sing, but their song gets lost in the open air, soaking into nothingness. There is no hustle and bustle of crowds. There are no blaring car horns, just the wind through the grass and the labors of your own breath as you tread the unpaved road. It is said, in such a countryside, you may come across a man with the trail of cigarette smoke behind him. His shifty eyes dart across the scene, but pay him no mind. His goals lie elsewhere. A cursed individual can only take company with those of a similar fortune. You see, to exist between worlds means living tied to nothing. No home, no family, no sense of time. A man like that looks perfectly natural, wandering the emptiness of a soundless sky. If you come across such a man, pay him no mind. You will walk on, leaving only smoke behind. But if you meet such a man and his eyes fix upon you, well, what can you do? What can he do? That's just how the world works. A cursed individual can only take company with those of a similar fortune. It's just the wheels of fate turning. You two just got caught in the spokes. Reaper's Goodbye. Hey, what's up, fellas? Koimaru here, and welcome to Reaper's Goodbye, I don't think a very long indie game I saw on itch.io, about 5 different stories, actually. And it's just maybe they're curious because the art style looked really interesting. So, welcome. Oh, okay, here we go. The town smells like roasting meat and alcohol. Oh my god, I do a French accent. Standing there enjoying it all is no acquaintance. Man! Hold on. Let me cook really quickly. I'm sorry for disrespecting every first person that was just watching, and I understand you'll subscribe. I get it. That's on me. What a surprise to think the gods will lead us to this village just to meet again. The world works in mysterious ways. Sice? Oh, mon ami, you could give me a more cheerful face? Go ahead, smile for me. Hard to tell. You've never changed, do you? Such depressing company you can be. Perhaps your poor mother fed you nothing but bitters as a child. Ah, so depressing. So depressing, I must drink away my sadness. The man turns around with dramatic flourish. He begins walking to the nearest stall. He's been like that for the longest time. This is nice music. The man leads the way, babbling the whole time. This and that, it's always pointless, but he's keen on talking. Finally, he shuts up at a humble food stall where a group of patrons tarry idly. There's a spectacled, professional-looking man. A mature woman minding her own business. A jovial old man with a well-made suit. And a nervous-looking little girl hiding behind her scarf. Oh, here's the shop I was speaking of. We can get this night started now. Ah, mon ami, don't be so sour. These poor souls missed their last train. They must spend the night without entertainment. You'd want to do. Let's trade stories until fate calls upon us. I personally find this so immature. Don't be such a stick in the mud. I can't think of a better way to spend the night. Well, I can think of one better way. Oh, I bet you can. See what... Wait, oh, yeah, probably. See what magnificent company we have. Magnifique company we have. And a little girl literally just staring at us. Are your eyes comically bigger than everyone else's? I'm not trying to judge if it's like a genetics thing, but I think her eyes like bigger. And so the wheels of fate were turning. Or rather, they had already reached their destination. This was more or less unknown to the 6 strangers at the stall, who awaited the train that would take them far, far away from here. The story of the lost souls and their startling tales begins now. Ooh. 5 stops until dawn. Oh, we get to pick the stories. Oh, it's awesome. Interesting though, you know, it says 5 steps till dawn. Our little main character here, it doesn't count for him. I'm gonna spare you and simply, because I can do every one of these voices. I can do a little girl's voice. Well, I can't really do a woman's voice, I'm being very honest, but I can soften my voice. I can do old men voices. This is the voice you're gonna be struggling with for at least the first day. Look, I'm getting the pain out the way for you. Okay, I'm helping you with this, I promise. Let's get the pain out the way. A story from me? I thought you'd never ask, mon ami. Beetle lad sticks a long jag of cigarettes. The only thing I love more than hearing a story is telling one. Oh, what's it do? Yes, this is it. Now lean a little closer. Guardian angel. I don't know if that's a guardian angel, my friend. Before I was well established in my profession, I was a pitifully penniless youth, traveling the country with little else than the clothes on my back. Not even proper threads, mind you. All shabby, out of season hand-me-downs. It depresses me just to remember it. Quel Anyhow, you can see how fortunate I was at the time. There were nights where I would have no coin for shelter. I'd lick potato starch just to quell my hunger. I did manage to scrounge up enough to move to the city in hopes that I could find more opportunities there. I rented a small apartment on the lower end. It was a cramped, dark place, hardly bigger than a closet with a single flickering bulb strung from the ceiling. My bed was a bare mattress held up by a rickety iron frame. I tried not to make such movements, lest I be woken by crusty creaking. Something peculiar happened the day I settled into my apartment. I was staring up at the ceiling, willing myself to slumber, when I felt something at the side of my face, the roaches or the rats. It was like an intense heat. When humans are in such darkness, their senses heighten so that they can feel even the slightest rise in temperature. Oh, okay. So in that darkness, I felt I was not alone. I shot up bright and pulled at the bulb switch. I nearly yanked it off completely in panic. I searched my cramped room but found nothing. Mold and mouse holes. How depressing. Of course, I could not possibly sleep after such a feeling. So I headed out the accursed room for some fresh air. Oi, youngin', you'd be lucky to meet me at a time like this. Sitting on the street was a bedraggled old beggar. Her face was shrouded by stained cloth and her fingers played across the empty air. Something you should know about my profession is that you meet a great many kinds of people. Each person has their own unique path to take and... I'm so sorry. I'm doing such a horrible job at this accent. Oh, I'm butchering this. I'm so sorry. Each person has their own unique path to take, and intersections like these are akin to miracles. You may walk through life lonely and singular, or you may have a once-in-a-lifetime experience. So even in my amateur status, I understood this to be valuable. I wordlessly shuffled closer to the woman. You seem to be wise as well and lucky. Many a youngin' walk past and pay with their lives. Wise and lucky ought to stay alive. So I tell ye this. But this from me, buy this from me for a cuppa. Place at your bedside and sleep will come nice and easy. In her outstretched hands, she produced a small communion cracker. Believe I was the secrets of the universe, but even I had to raise an eyebrow. Besides that, I had little money to spare. In order to make rent, I'd have to cut down to a single meal a day. Wise and lucky, but still doubtful. Buy this from me and you will see in time. Everyone on this earth is blessed with the guardian angel. When you lay down to sleep tonight, see how the angel watches over us all. Was she insane or speaking the truth? Either way, she was looking out for my health. I threw her a coin and made my way up the steps. It was probably her in the room and she just ran outside. I placed the cracker on the thin strip of floor between the bed and the door frame, lamenting my lightened pockets. What in the world? Yeah, we don't need to make this out. You can imagine it. I learned to fall asleep and survive on little more than crumbs. At the end of the week, the beggar woman would appear on the street to sell me another blessing. Parting with coin always hurt, but the pain was lessened as my luck begins to fly. Somehow my business was taking off. It seemed that the whims of the city and the wishes of my heart had finally aligned. Magnifique! But all was not so rosy during these blooming, youthful days. Oh, I must tell you of in generous terms an old friend who was a likewise young man with little to call his own. He too was in profession and had much to say about it. So much to say that our entire walk home was consumed with his contemplation. The same evening he told me of his new residence. The beggar lady came for our usual exchange. You're living here? I sure am. I mean, where else could I go in this dump of a city? I found a room last week. Man, this making me miss home. Youngin, before you go off to bed, buy this for me for a copper. Ha! A copper? Miss, I'm not gonna buy that little thing from you when I can buy myself a tall drink. Please, youngin, you will regret it if you... Listen to this. She's completely off her rocker. That foolish friend of mine laughed loudly at the woman and spun on his heel. In this place, I exchanged a coin for the communion cracker, but her face looked like she was mourning. It's not too late, Sice. God, you're generous. You're too generous. You need to learn how to say no to street people. We're hardly getting by ourselves. She might have a point. Just consider it, please. Bah, just go to sleep already. And so, just as past intersect, they part. That night, dear listeners, I heard something I can never forget. I was lying in my bed. Was that my angel staring back at me? The creak of a bed from somewhere in the complex. Skirt. Hey. Oh, what the heck? Hey. The following day, I learned that my friend hadn't shown up for work, or so much as sent word. Sometime later, I saw our landlord grumbling around the complex, banging on a sudden door with no answer. He seemingly disappeared clean off the face of the earth. How peculiar. But my mind wandered from it as soon as I received a letter saying I'd been accepted to a higher position with much better accommodations. Plans were made, suitcases were packed, and Lord knows how I paid the communion up until the very last day. So that's this gentleman's tale of how I lived in my early years. Insightful, Sass. I was not always so refined. Ah, mon ami. I know how cruel I must sound, but with time you begin to see into people's hearts. The old fool smiles gently at the memory. He begins to understand who will make it and who will depart. Such is the way of our chosen path. The other patrons look unnerved by his tale. Although it gets lonely watching over everyone's path, doesn't it? C'est la vie. Oh, what am I doing telling you this? Your icy stairs tells me all I need. You're just about frozen over. Reaper's goodbye. Holy fudge! That's kind of disturbing. Very disturbing. Friend just straight up died. Because he didn't pay the price of something in that room. That's kind of really horrifying that something was just watching them essentially every night they went to sleep. But yeah, that is the story of him. I have officially got the torture's done. You're safe now. We won't go in order. We'll go like this. Why not? A little bit in order. Oh, wait, never mind. They make me choose like this. So, you want a story from me, huh? Well, I got my fair share of stories, but scary ones aren't exactly my forte. Mostly, I just got tales of heartbreak. She takes a slow sip and sighs. Well, maybe there's one. How do you start these things? Whatever. It doesn't matter how I tell it. What's done is done, right? So it doesn't matter what I say. How was it? Beloved Jewel Spider. Spider. Beloved Jewel Spider. Oh. Once there was a woman and her daughter. They loved each other very much. The woman brushed her daughter's hair every night and sang gentle songs to calm her. The time they spent together was truly the most happy they had had in either of their lives. Do you love me? Of course, Mama. How much do you love me? More than anything. You're such a good girl. Mama will give you a present, see? The woman gave her daughter a strange little box. It was thick and heavy with a large clasp in the front. If you're ever in trouble, just open this box. Mama will come help you. But Mama, I can just ask you if I'm in trouble. Of course. But one day, the woman continued to sing. Her gentle voice soothed the little girl, so the yelling from the next room almost completely disappeared. When it was time to sleep, the girl snuggled close so that she could only smell her mother's sweet perfume instead of the stink of alcohol that permeated the air. She drifted off to sleep in her mother's arms, forgetting about the cramped room where they lived. La-di-da. One day, the little girl came home from school. It's raining. Mama, I'm home. She scrambled and pulled open the door. Inside, she saw... Papa, what did you... The time the woman and her daughter spent together was truly the happiest time in either of their short lives. Mama! With the box hugged to her chest, the girl knew those days of love were never coming back. The girl became a woman, and that woman became cold. She lived in an apartment where the scent of alcohol permeated the air. With the man who wasn't her husband, they got along fine, unless they didn't. The man borrowed her money, and the woman borrowed his time. Hey, do you have a little, I don't know which one, X-Classic spot me. Oh, yeah, okay, it's her. This is her right here. I gave you all I had last week. Useless. You can't even lend your man a little spending money. What kind of woman are you? What kind of man are you? You can't even keep a job. Shut up. Useless. Why don't you go out and try working a little? Don't come back until you've got something to show for yourself. So that was the exchange. And when returning to that cramped little hole, the woman could see that hideous man, sleeped with the glass tipped over next to him. When he woke up, she knew he would be angry, that he would blame it on her, and she would be tossed into the night again. Drifting off to sleep, she couldn't help but mourn her mother. She was the only one who ever loved her, and she was the only one she could ever love. The rest of this world is just too dirty. The woman kept the box after all those years. She hadn't opened it yet. There was no point. But for some reason, there was a sound from the box. Something was alive in there. It was trying to get out. Creepy. The woman turned over and tried to go back to sleep. There was a comfort there. The scratching was almost like a lullaby, and as her eyes closed, she could almost feel her mother's arms around her. Another day of dirtiness, another day of pounding rain. How irritating. Their breath, I hate it. The woman went home as usual. The man snuck more than ever and yelled as soon as she opened the door. It's not enough. Aren't you trying? Useless. You're doing this just to spite me, aren't you? What did I ever do to you? It's not my fault you gamble everything. You spend it faster than I can make it. You don't understand how hard it is for me. Get a man try to relax every once in a while. The economy isn't so great, so don't expect to treat you like the Queen of Sheba. I'm asking you to help out, so help out. Come on, answer me. What's so funny? Is this funny to you? Your breath. Quit joking around. Jesus. These people all have horrible lives. Happening? Oh, there we go. The man froze. The box in the corner was shaking. What is that? Hey, what is that? The box shaking more and more. The man's grip tense from nervousness. My mother is in that box. Quit joking around. My mother was killed by my father. Did you know that? She was killed by him. And now she's in that box. She's looking after me even now. You're lying. She gave me that box before she died. She said if I was in trouble, I should open it. What's in it then? I told you already. His grip loosened slowly. The air from the room had been sucked out and replaced with only the sound of light scratching. The man and woman laid down and closed their eyes, but neither of them went to sleep that night. Oh. Once again, the woman was forced to go out and look for work. She brushed her hair and applied her makeup as the man smoked a cigarette, his eyes stuck on the box. You said when you're in trouble, you should open the box, right? That's what my mother told me. Well, we've been in some trouble with money, all right? Don't you touch that box. Now, what did you say to me? I'm just saying we've been in some money trouble is all. I've been managing just fine. Maybe there's some kind of jewel in there. Something we could sell for good money. I said don't touch it. Come on. Don't you want to see how much your mother's love is worth? The woman left for work with a loud and bitter laugh. That kind of scared the fudge out of me. Was seeing the mother's eyes and just the light humming with the box. That made me have goosebumps all around. Another day of dirtiness. Another day of pounding rain. The street lights flickered on the water. The street lights flickered on. I'm sorry. The water droplets catching the lights and blurring the buildings together. The woman trudged home after a long day of work. The scent of cigarettes, beer, and sweat soaked her through. She suddenly thought of her mother's perfume and thought the rain. And through the rain, she thought she could hear a familiar tune. My little baby. She ran as fast as her legs could take her. She scrambled up the stairs to her apartment and pressed her face against the door. The song could be heard inside. My sweetest child. Behind the door, which held so many stains and fights and bruises, was an ocean of happy memories in a world so dirty and cruel. How could you bring back those days of love? It's easy. You just have to open the box. There it was. A spider. Oh, Jesus, he opened the box. A spider that shone like jewels dangling from the ceiling. A sweet scent hung in the air as a beautiful melody rang out on the ground. The box lay open and empty. Please, please. Such a miracle could only make her laugh, my lovely little one. Oh, come on, baby. Now do you see how much a mother's love is worth? Jesus Christ. And there you have it. They lived happily ever after. That's how all good stories end, right? Oh, you look upset. Were you expecting something different? About what I was expecting. Maybe the ending doesn't sound that happy to you. It doesn't matter much either way. Once again, she acts elusive. The little girl in the story wasn't me, so don't go dreaming. But perhaps it's just an unchangeable fact. It's just a little tale I let off the streets. That's probably a lie. Very disturbing. Okay, so I think we're over creepy things all around. It does show, because the little girl's likely her, did her mother literally just put either a curse or her literal soul in a box? W mother though. I mean, I can't really hate on the mom. She protected her daughter. Old man, let's do your voice. The old man is more relaxed than anyone else here. You got a good eye, kid. I've got plenty of old spooks left in me. Well, when you've lived a life like mine, you're gonna get a few spooks. Plenty of sour times and things you can't talk about in front of children. But besides that, I do got a good story to tell. It was back in the day when I wasn't so dang wrinkled. The sand casket. All right. It's not the kind of business you can talk about. Not then or now, but it brought in money. It was considered real men's work. I had big dreams and the boss said I had promise. I was naive, but still rough around the edges. It was a different time, all right. You could say I was a garbage man. I took out the trash and everyone was asleep. Nice and easy, down on the beach with the cliffside. At a sight like you wouldn't believe. I finished the job and stare out into the sea, taking in the sense. Now that I think of it, it's dang crazy that I never got caught. You shouldn't hang around the places you do business. Alright, so I was caught. But it wasn't in an ordinary way. Even in my golden years, I can't forget what I found in the sand. I finished my business and was taking in the moonshine, but I could have sworn there was a silhouette on the shore. Obviously, that's gonna set off some red alarms. This place was pretty out of the way, so I reached for the piece and dared to look closer. Chasing the waves was some little kid. Big droopy eyes and a carefree smile. What the heck was a kid doing all the way out here? Hey. Oh, is it the kid? Or maybe hey you, come here. Like a good kid, he tottered over. You could tell he was raised well. Youngins with manners like that normally come from good families. Hiya, little guy. So tell me, where's your mom? What, no response? You could tell by his threads that he wasn't hurting for money or anything. He looked way too young to be some troubled runaway. He was pretty content for a lost baby. Yeah, I'll give him, just to make it interesting, I'll give him the voice he has in this thing. I gave the girl the same voice when she was an adult. This is when he was younger, so we'll give him a more of a younger, gruffer voice. I could send him off to the police, but for certain reasons, I just didn't like visiting those guys. You like candy, don't you? Yeah, that's it. It was dangerous to have anybody running around during my job. Actually, I'll give him a voice. He's narrating. It's dangerous having it. I'll give him a voice for when he's talking, though, the younger voice. It's dangerous to have anybody running around for my job. But since it was just a little guy, I figured that he wouldn't be any trouble. My other self would never make such a stupid mistake. That's the kind of thinking that gets you 6 feet under. It accidentally became a ritual of mine to finish up work and then sit and watch the ocean with the mystery child, sharing hard candies between us. What an odd pair we must have been. Rowdy no good like me and some upper class heir stuffing our faces with sweets. I decided not to think too hard about it, about where he came from. I'd given up my own past long ago. One night, that hell of a night. What? I don't understand why it caught me off guard, but the mystery kid had such a dang hard look on his face. All I could think of was driftwood floating out at sea, or a hurt little bird. I don't think I'd ever seen anything sadder in my life. Hey, little guy, you hungry? I got extra sweets tonight. But the kid just kept staring out over the waves, sad as heck. Come on. I'll do his voice here. Tell me what's the matter with you? Do you miss your mom or something? Let me help you out. What's the face for, huh? I let the kid lead me across the shore. Still had my goods on me, for Christ's sakes. He ran with all the determination he could muster. All right. We reached a far part of the beach, right under the cliffside. He stood and pointed at the ground, looking at me with those droopy eyes. My first thought was, this kid lost his toy or something? He was playing at the beach and he buried it and forgot about it is all. I did it all the time myself as a kid, so naturally I pulled out my shovel and got to digging. Good guy. There's nothing here, I'm telling you. Same response. I began to wonder if the kid was playing tricks on me or what. Something grabbed onto my mind. I don't know how to explain it exactly. Sometimes in this line of business, you sense things a little better than most people. At that point, it's up to you. It's up to your own personal brains to decide whether or not you keep going. I was young and very stupid. So you know I went already. Dang it, it's gotta be. I shoveled more and more sand until it became dark and dense. All the while, the kid was looking at me with watery eyes. My shovel meant something at last. Think, in the dense earth, I spotted a little fleck of white. Deeper. I had to go deeper. Oh. Body. That, about expected. Curled up like a cicada shell was a pair of skeletons. Oh. A large one with a torn dress and pearls. And the smaller one that... Oh. Thank you, mister. Instead of horror on his face. Oof. Chills again. So that's about it. Times were very different back then. But times treated me well, for the most part. But you get a few odd things here and there. Never did get to learn his name or how it happened. No use wondering now. No use wondering then. People disappear every day without a trace, but the world keeps turning. Frankly, I'm happy that I live in a world where things keep turning. It's a sad one, but not as horror-inducing, I suppose. The little girl. Actually, hold on. Or not. The old man. Ghost stories? Oh, well, no. I haven't really. You don't get to talk about the occultish stuff in my line of work since it's very scientific. Man nervously looks from side to side. I'm very factual, you see? But perhaps... Yes. Well, just for tonight, since you insist, there was this one time, back in my school days. Tunnel visions. That's how I imagine you would look in your school days. It was in my college years when I found myself stuck in the rain between trains. I studied late and neglected to keep track of time. Indeed, the trains went on without me. I had ended up beneath the street lamp with my umbrella, doing little for the intensity of the weather. Looking out, I could hardly see anything except for the shine of wet gravel in the fog. "Hoy, are you lost?" A voice rang out into the night. I couldn't tell if they were beside me or not. It sounded like a man about my age, I still couldn't see them. Follow the tracks if you go through the tunnel. You won't have to bother with the rain. But the train... These tracks have been abandoned for years. Come on, let's go. Indeed, there were tracks in front of me. I followed them and came to the mouth of a tunnel where a figure stood. Strangely, I couldn't catch his face. The mix of a fog and rain and darkness made it too hard to see. I could tell he was a student, and my nerves began to settle. I let my umbrella down, and we entered the tunnel together. He began to ask questions about me. The tunnel was even darker than the outside, but thanks to our conversation, I felt completely at home. I explained the courses I was taking and the dorm I was at, the exams I was studying for, and my expectations for the future. "I'm going to become a physician." "You sound so sure of yourself," he said. "It's only a matter of time. The courses aren't so difficult if you study them properly. Anyone who says otherwise is making excuses. Naturally, not everyone can make it, but that's just how it is. If everyone could achieve their dreams, the world might as well collapse." "That's very much like you." I was confused by this statement, and my nerves were on end again. Did I know this chap after all? I studied him and his face in vain. The darkness was too much. He was slightly taller than me. Maybe he was someone I'd met on campus? I tried to think of a way to catch his face. "Say, do you have a light? It's a little..." "Of course. Give me a moment." He lit a match from his pocket. The bottom half of his face was illuminated, but I still couldn't think of anything. Despite being taller than me, he had an odd youth about him. How to say it? Well, normally at that age, a man begins to grow hair on their chin. Even when one shaves himself, there will still be a little pox where the hair will grow. No. For him, it was completely smooth. There was a roundness to his jaw that made me think of prepubescent. I was thinking too much of it, so he called me in the act. "Something on my face?" No, Quickly, I thought of something. "I just don't recognize the uniform, so I suppose we won't be seeing each other at school." "No, I suppose not." In the distance, I heard the blaring of a train. "These tracks aren't used anymore, remember?" "Of course. We would walk along them all the time back then." "We did?" "Well, normally I was too scared to, but you would push me along. I'd push back, and eventually we would end up walking along the tracks. We'd walk to school like that all the time." "Paula?" "Yes, it was Paula. A friend from years ago. We studied together and walked along the train tracks, just as he'd said. I still couldn't see much of his face, but his voice still carried the same measured timbre as it had years ago. I was tempted to let out a laugh, but stopped before the empty tunnel could catch my voice. I suddenly became wary of the space around me as Paulo patted my shoulder in a friendly manner. Took you long enough. I was beginning to think you'd forgotten all about me. Well, I've just been busy with school. My mind is a little tired. What was that? Of course. School. I see. Apollo just smiled at me. We studied together for quite some time with the goal of going to the same university. The bar is extremely high, so we put our all into it. Of course, hard work is important, but there's also the matter of natural ability. Some people are just built with better aptitude than others. It's by the grace of God these things come to be. Truly, it's out of our hands. Apollo, I heard a train. It must have been your imagination. How far is the exit? Probably a while. What, you don't trust an old buddy? It is out of our power how we are born. So it is naturally out of my power when I was selected for university. My friend was left to the wayside. He said he would just try again and be my underclassman, but Apollo tried again and again. He answered countless essays and repeated the test over and over, but he somehow was unable to pass. There, it's at the tunnel's mouth. It's going to hit us. But I fell out of contact because I naturally became so busy. You're worrying too hard. It's merely the pounding rain. Please understand, I hardly had time to even eat. It was cutthroat. Our futures were just going in different directions, and some to better places than others. No, up there. A light, it's coming. I turned to run in the other direction with a small hope I wouldn't be dashed to bits, but a hand clamped onto my shoulder so hard I nearly flung back. A hand so biting cold I could feel it through my coat and my bones. Where are you going? Are we gonna walk through this place? Together as friends? I remember this coldness. On a day with biting rain, I heard the news. After failing the entry exam once more, my old friend Paulo wandered up onto a bridge far after midnight and flew over the railing just as the train had passed. The rumbling was getting closer. The light was creating a burning halo around him. The sound was piercing me. The light was piercing me. The other end of the tunnel was just too far away. Was I going to die? At last, I could see his face, young and just as piercing as the light behind him. You were good at running ahead. The path always seemed to open up just for you. Me, though? I could hardly get my foot in the door. Why? Why is it you? Why can you do it and I can't? Why is it you? The light was burning me. In that moment, I was sure I'd die, that everything I had worked for until now would be smashed to bits. But then, the match which was burning to his fingertips split in two and vanished into darkness. Paul and the train disappeared at once. I was left alone in the dark of the tunnel, with nothing but silence and the vague glint of the train tracks, which had been abandoned long ago. And so that's the end of my story. As I said before, I'm not into the occult. Surely there's a scientific explanation for it. Your dead friend coming back to life, or your dead friend visiting you from the grave beyond and showing how he died to you, and kind of showing you how he had contempt for you. Contempt? I don't think there's science for that. He gives a resolute huff. He's convinced himself of something. Perhaps I came off a bit cruel in my retelling. I can understand how someone uneducated might see it as such. Nobody argues with them. Back to drinking once again. Academia is an extremely cutthroat business. If you're unable to keep up, then it's your own fault. Reaper's goodbye. Reaper's goodbye sounds like either a nice bar or a cool drink. The night is nearly over, and we end off with the girl. She's actually looking at the camera. The little girl who up until now is staring at the ground. Finally, looks up with steadfast eyes. She opens her mouth to speak. Her voice trembles slightly. I have a story. The tired eyes of the other patrons turned to her. Before I got here, before you were all here too, there's an unspoken fear in the air. Before I got on the train, back at home. 5 passengers. Interesting. What are you whining about now? There were funny things in Mama's house. A kid was looking at me from the closet and walls, but Mama never believed me. The other one played lots of jokes on Mama. Mama didn't like them. You nasty child. Why do you hate me? What did I ever do to you? Disgusting. Get away from me. I asked the other one why they kept hurting Mama. All they could do was laugh at me. Their face got all up and turny, and they laughed and laughed and laughed. What are you doing? Are you trying to play tricks on me again? Why? Why couldn't I have a normal child? Man, Mama, I am a normal child, but there's a bad child here tricking you. Mama, please believe me. Somebody was playing at night. There's a big crack on the floor. No. Mama's mirror was smashed on the ground. Why are you always so mean to me? I hate you. Tried to put the mirror back together, but there were too many pieces. The other one laughed at me over and over. Everything was broken. No matter what I do, things break. I'm a normal child, so why was it here too? That night, I decided to run away. Everyone will be happy if I'm gone. Mama won't have to cry anymore. I ran to the station where all the trains are. When no one was looking, I jumped on board and sat down. I wanted to go far, far away, to a place where no one would know me. The train was cold and loud. The light flickered a lot. It was empty and lonely, except for 5 other passengers on board. There was a pretty lady looking sadly out the window. A man with little glasses, grumbling a lot. A fancy man with a little mustache humming to himself. Y'all look, he looks intimidating here. And a nice grandpa who gave me candy. Sweet. I wonder if in my new home, I can get candy like this too. Will I meet somebody as nice as that grandpa? That would be nice. Eating the candy, I counted the passengers in the car. 1, 2, 3, 4. What? I thought I saw 5 passengers. The 5th one was... No, not again. You can't be here. Get away right now. Jesus. The train began to shake. And it shakes so bad. Oh my god, the train begins so... Wait, the train begins so shake back. Oh, okay, that's not me. The train began to shake back and forth. Everyone started yelling. Everything began to rumble, and I fell off my seat. The world turned in circles over and over and over. Jesus. What kind of demon is following this child? I was trying to be a good child. I never played any tricks on anyone. I never complained about my bedtime. I never talked back. So why? Why did this happen? I was trying to be a good child. I never played tricks on anyone. I'm sorry, everyone. I'm sorry, Mama. Her voice peters out softly. And that's what happened. The eyes locked in her now look desperately to each other. Nervously, the doctor speaks up. She's quite the creative little girl, isn't she? Mona swear, you've got goosebumps. Dr. scrums for his words. It's just the chilly air, alright? It's pretty late. Hey, what are you laughing at? The old man simply grins and muses softly. Oh yeah, I will voice that guy. The air is pretty chilly tonight. I decided long ago that I wouldn't regret anything. Man, my position doesn't get to be picky, you see. So chills like these don't bother me a bit. Truthful, monsieur. There are few men in this day and age understand the nature of chills. I don't even understand the nature of chills, if I'm being honest. I've had them playing this game. 2 of the men laugh together as the doctor looks on in horror. You're all crazy. All of you. I need to get out of here. Right this instant. Where's my train at? By pure coincidence, he is cut off by a mighty train horn. Yeah, I figured that was kind of the thing, that everyone was dead, kind of giving stories before they moved on. All of the faithful souls sit in utter silence. Despite the differences, there is an instant understanding between them. Time stops for no one, and the train won't wait forever. There's your way out, big man. Don't want to miss it. Lady takes a languid sip in the eyes of the panicked doctor. Slowly, the bespectacled man leaves his seat and walks in the direction of the horn. And after a little while, the lady follows after him. Even now, her expression hasn't changed. The old man finishes his drink and smiles warmly. Extends a wrinkled hand to the little girl. Don't want to be late, little lady? Oh, miraculously, the girl accepts. Oh, the two walk hands in hand till their figures are overtaken by the dark. Ah, how heartwarming. Was a perfect way to end the story. Oh, what am I saying? The night isn't nearly over yet. Oh, please, mon ami. Can't you indulge in this temporary bliss? I know what we must do, but there's no use in complaining. As payments for straying from the path, we must assist Madame Fortune's grand plan. But oh, how magnifique it would be if things had turned out differently. Maybe I'd become an actor on the silver screen. How my features would shine. I love this guy. I'm doing a horrible accent for him. I love this guy. The gruff wanderer speaks for the first time that night. I don't know what I'd be. In contrast to his intimidating appearance. His voice, oh, never mind. He has a similar, my fault. I just did his voice. The voice of my freshest child. I don't know where I'd be. My mind goes blank when I think of anything else. Maybe this was all I was meant to do. Still so much to do. But we must go on regardless. It is said in such a countryside, you may come across a man with a trail of cigarette smoke behind him. He speaks little and keeps to himself, unless the powers that be force his hand. These people who wander without home or fortune always carry a painful duty upon their shoulders. Any lost soul they find their journey must be cut down without mercy. A life of endless meetings and partings, that is the curse of a reaper. Yeah. Dang. That was the old man. The doctor. Oh, that was oh, wow. Whoa. Also, it's like a... Yo, sorry, frick. That last have been delivered. You already know, don't you? I, too, was on that train. Funny, isn't it? Even if we're separate from the rest of humanity, we can bleed like an average man. Hold on. Let's just save thing. I don't think saving matters in this game, but I want to save. I do it myself, but it seems that my own power is ineffective against myself. So the duty of deliverance falls on a dear friend. Think of it this way. If you leave me in this phantasmal form, I'll eventually unbecome myself. Each part of me will ship away in the wind until nothing remains. So don't be sad. Being a reaper really is a wonderful thing. We can meet again. We could trade stories in each world, just as we have tonight. So he was a reaper too, but I guess he couldn't do it himself. But he was a reaper as well then? Alone on the edge of a town in the countryside, a reaper stands with white knuckles around the handle of a well-kept sickle. The spirits of the town push in and out of a train going somewhere far beyond. He knows one day he will be cut down just as his friend was. Yeah, he'll exit this world as alone as he lived it. Huh? You're not dead? We inevitably meet tragedy in our lives. Some will mean more than others, but it's said that the more dire the path, the more brilliant the miracles. So the girl lived. That's cool. That little girl actually managed to live her life because the other people were quite old. Some wealth landing into your pockets. A brush with danger that leaves you untouched. Or perhaps it's something as simple as two lonely souls crossing paths. Aww. Little happy ending there. Not a huge happy ending, but a little happy ending there. With him being meeting with the little girl. I wasn't expecting that twist of our French friend being a Reaper as well. It makes sense because he was the one we walked up with. Like that's why he was probably the Reaper. Instead, like this is an old friend who always talks so much, and that little piece of dialogue just kind of left my mind entirely. Look at that picture. That's awesome. I still. Are you gonna make her grow up into being a Reaper? Oh, you can touch the moon. And that is the end of the game. Reapers goodbye. Man, that was a great game. Look, I don't, like, I think I've said this before, I don't play a lot of indie games. Well, I play a lot of indie games, but I don't play a lot of itch.io games or like visual novels. I don't play a lot of visual novels at all. This might be like my second ever visual novel played. The first one was Model Employee, but this was an amazing visual novel. The art style and the music was just, oh, I love this. I love this. It was so well done. I loved like all the characters too. And it was really just like short stories of the characters, but you really felt like you got to like kind of know the characters because you knew about their past, even their personality wise a little bit. But there's still an air of mystery to them all, of course. But just, it was so well, like the dialogue was so good. Sorry, just, dang, it was a great game. I don't play a lot of visual novels, so I guess it makes sense that I'd be really taken aback. But I think this is also just an amazing visual novel. Like, I'll put this in the description so you can like try yourself. I don't really know why, but you can try yourself if you'd like, you know. Have some fun with it. See if you missed anything that I might have accidentally missed when reading. But man, this was good. It is interesting though. We saw our Reaper French friend. He killed the old man, and the old man was the one person that was afraid about dying. So I wonder if he was trying to not get on the train. Like all the other people got on the train, and then he was just the one person that didn't. Or it's possible that that's just what happens. Like they go walk into the thing and then the Reaper chases after them and delivers them, as he said. But still, absolutely amazing game. I really hope you guys enjoyed it because I loved it. This was such a fun thing to go through, and I loved doing the bad voices for you. I hope you enjoyed the horrible voices. I'd definitely be looking from this game developer and seeing if he has any other games because I really like his style. It's just really nice to me. But yeah, I won't talk you off for too long. Anyway. So I hope you guys sincerely enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching it. This is an amazing game, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Farewell.